CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight at City Hall, where the Planning Committee unanimously supported a 30-year expansion plan for London's urban growth boundary. That decision despite a letter from local First Nation leaders asking for more consultation time. Daryl Newcomb reports.
It sounds like a lot of land, but it's actually not.
The lobbyists for London's development sector urged the Planning Committee to support the final version of the updated urban growth boundary map, confirming which undeveloped properties will be opened up to residential growth in the coming decades.
We think the time has come for Council to make a decision on this urban growth boundary for the next 30 years. It's well-researched, well consulted.
The stakes are high for developers. A consultant's report estimated land values increased 5.5 to 8 times higher when included within the urban growth boundary. But a letter from the chief of the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation sought more time for consultation, in part because their new council was just elected in the summer.
Our reconciliation plan, as well as Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, does have a consultation protocol that includes municipalities as proponents, and I believe our stated commitments should match our actions.
Chippewa of the Thames First Nation has had the maps for the community growth and protected natural heritage feature lands, not just to the west that they raised some issues about, but the full map since June. We're not rushing this, folks. We have had consultation.
Federal, constitutional, and Indigenous rights law.
Councillor Sam Trosso asked several questions about the city's duty to consult, but no one on the committee voted to go behind closed doors to get answers from the city's lawyer.
The mayor has had multiple discussions with Chief Muskokaman, and some of those communications have been on the public agenda, and some of them have been through phone calls, one of which was this morning. There comes a point where there's a decision point, and we're at that decision point.
That decision, unanimous, to recommend sending the new urban growth boundary to the provincial government for its consideration. Councillors Frank and Trosso are not members of the committee, so they couldn't vote. Both said they'll bring their concerns to the December 16th council meeting when a final decision is made. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
The Prime Minister spoke with Indigenous chiefs in Ottawa today. It was their first opportunity to ask him questions publicly since he signed a pipeline agreement with Alberta. Those chiefs have sent a clear message opposing the Memorandum of Understanding. Abigail Beeman reports.
Do you respect the direction of the rights and title holders?
A chance for First Nations to hear from the Prime Minister and ask a few questions.
I look forward to that meeting at the earliest opportunity.
Mark Carney says he will meet with coastal BC First Nations chiefs, staunchly opposed to the new MOU between Alberta and Ottawa that sets the stage for a new pipeline. He also committed to a First Ministers meeting with First Nations in the new year.
Under the leadership of the Minister of Indigenous Services, this government intends to introduce water legislation in the spring of 2026.
Key on the day one agenda, an emergency resolution to keep the oil tanker ban and a call to scrap the new MOU.
This resolution has been accepted.
It passed unanimously.
First Nations in Canada are feeling overwhelmed, that they're feeling as though the duty to consult is being undermined.
Merle Alexander is representing 2 coastal BC First Nations.
There also is a real pushback against this regression on environmental and climate change policies.
Canada can create all the MOUs, project offices, advisory groups that they want, but chiefs are united. When it comes to approving large national projects on First Nations lands, there will not be getting around rights holders.
It's a message not just coming from BC, but chiefs across the country.
We've had enough of being excluded, and there's going to be trillions of dollars going to be extracted over the next 10 to 100 years, and for First Nations to get chump change, it's not going to happen.
The Special Chiefs Assembly continues here until Thursday. Also on the agenda, a plenary session about the Major Projects Office and Indigenous Advisory Committee. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Leaders with a local nonprofit are speaking out, saying their social media accounts were hacked and flooded with hateful messages. As Lawrence Delone reports, for London's Jamaican community, it comes at an already difficult time.
so I don't have Instagram.
Omar Smith was getting ready for work Monday morning when he received several unusual phone calls.
I've been getting calls from people I know and people that I don't know telling me that I need to go to the social media pages.
He says he was shocked by what he saw.
Someone had gained unauthorized access to our social media accounts, and the person was sharing some very hurtful and very hateful messages against our community.
The account belonging to Jamaicans in London, Ontario Association, a non-profit organization aimed at supporting Londoners of Jamaican heritage.
It's like 2 steps forward, 2 steps backwards.
The organization says the individuals sent direct messages containing explicit sexual content and racial slurs like this one to the account's followers.
I quickly tried to delete all the horrible content that was being posted.
Social media manager Christina Chase says while she's experienced similar instances in the past, nothing quite as harmful.
It impacted me personally because I didn't realize how much hatred was really in that person's heart to say those heinous things.
Chase says they have contacted London police to help find who is responsible for the attack.
Accountability should take place, and I hope justice comes to this because our people have been targeted for far too long.
This comes at an already trying time for the Jamaican community, just weeks after Hurricane Melissa hit.
This hate spilling online is something that took us by surprise. We weren't expecting it, and we by no means will stand by and let it diminish anything that we have worked for.
Meantime, the organization says it has taken necessary steps to secure all social media accounts and ensure this never happens again. Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
A Lambton County realtor says she recently fell for a cryptocurrency scam costing her $70,000. She relies on a wheelchair and says she was planning on using those savings to buy an accessible van. As Scott Miller reports, she likely won't get that money back.
Tabitha Burley started investing with an online cryptocurrency company last September. At first, everything was going fine. She was seeing gains and was able to withdraw money with relative ease.
And then things went sideways.
Burley, who's been in a wheelchair most of her life, had sunk $70,000 into the crypto scam by September of this year and was unable to withdraw any of it. She reported the scam to her local CIBC bank, who told her because she knowingly made the e-transfers and loans, there was nothing they could do for her.
I've been a customer of theirs for 32 years, and that's the thanks I get. It's not okay. And that's why the scams continue in whatever form the scam may be.
Canadian Bankers Association says while banks are committed to stopping crypto frauds and scams, banks have no visibility once money is sent to a cryptocurrency exchange, and this is why scammers often leverage crypto as a vehicle to facilitate scams. In Lambton County alone, there have been 241 fraud investigations this year alone, many involving cryptocurrency. In nearby Huron County, nearly $1 million was lost from August to October in 10 separate scams, 9 of them involving cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's really sad to see. It's frustrating, actually, because I know people have worked hard for their money, and now they're losing it so quickly online.
Burley wasn't just trying to make a fast buck. She was trying to make money to help her buy an accessible van so she could finally drive herself instead of relying on others.
I'm still on that journey, I'm actively doing it now, but financially, I don't have what I thought I was going to have to get to the van portion of the journey.
In Lambton County, Burley says the OPP are trying to get local banks to contact them directly when suspicious withdrawals are made from people's accounts. Burley says if that was in place, she might not be in the position she's in. Near Grand Bend, Scott Miller, CTV News.
3 men from the Toronto area pleaded guilty today in London for their roles in an East End jewelry store robbery, which left the business owner in hospital for 8 months. With more on their plea and sentence, here's Nick Paparella.
It was a brazen daytime robbery in January of 2023. 3 masked men armed with a firearm and a BB gun entered London Gold Buyer on Highbury Avenue with the 4th suspect waiting outside in a stolen getaway car. A female clerk was struck in the head immediately, and the store's owner, Daniel Lowith, would be shot in the chest. The agreed statement of facts says he was in the intensive care unit for 8 months in a medically induced coma. He was close to death and had 4 major surgeries and 31 minor surgeries. Lowith's wife, Carol, gave the lone victim impact statement, saying the lasting psychological trauma of this violent act can never be underestimated. Our family will always live with these difficult memories. Adding a message to the trio, she said, may they decide to seek peace instead of violence. After racing away from the store that winter day, the suspects were all apprehended at gunpoint by officers near Ingersoll. $65,000 worth of jewelry was recovered. In court, Tyrese Brown Austin, Dallison Emile, and Jaquan Buckner, all in their early 20s, pled guilty to a number of charges, including robbery, disguise with intent, and flight from police. Buckner is being sentenced at a later date. However, in a joint sentencing submission for Brown, Austin, and Emile, who have been in custody since the arrest, the Crown and defense agreed on time served. They've already spent the equivalent of 4 years and 4 months behind bars. Justice Patricia Moore told the men, for the sake of some quick money, you put someone's life in jeopardy and you put your own lives in jeopardy, given the possibility of a very long term in prison had Mr. Lowith died. She went on, I hope you take this rather lenient sentence and move forward with your lives in a more productive way. The shooter in this case has already been dealt with. In August of 2023, 22-year-old Dejon Stephen pled guilty and received a 7-year sentence. Nick Paparella, CTV News.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has declared 2 more avian flu outbreaks at poultry farms in Strathroy-Caradoc. There are now 5 outbreaks declared in the region. CFIA officials say almost 100,000 birds have now been culled as a result. They also say they've established a control zone to prevent further virus spread. A permit is now needed to move birds or any of their byproducts. According to the CFIA, human infections from the virus are rare. A London-based restaurant has been fined $55,000 after an employee was attacked by a customer. A provincial Labour Ministry investigation found the owners of L Furniture Warehouse on Richmond Row had little to no procedure or training for handling violent situations. The fine relates to an incident from November 2023 when an employee was struck twice after they asked a customer to leave. The worker was later taken to hospital. CTV News has reached out to the restaurant's operators for comment, but we have not received a response. Ontario's Auditor General says the provincial government is falling short in connecting residents with primary care. That finding comes from her annual report, which also looked at OHIP billing and government advertising. Siobhan Morris reports.
Ontario's Auditor General finds big gaps in monitoring doctor billing practices. In her annual report, Shelley Spence flags physicians putting in for over 100 hours in just a day, 365 days of work a year, and far more than their peers, sometimes all 3.
Those were all very shocking to me.
The government estimates anomalies could cost taxpayers in the ballpark of $500 million a year.
If there is waste in the billing system, and we're not saying there is, we're just saying it needs to be reviewed. And if it could be recovered, you could use that money to hire more family physicians.
The parliamentary assistant to the Minister of Health, dismissive of eyebrow-raising bills.
Well, no, we're not maybe you're talking about hypotheticals. I'm talking about an actual process.
He explains healthcare and its billing system are complex.
So we need not automatically jump to an assumption.
The Ministry of Health says the problem cases the auditor identified are being investigated.
This isn't really about the individual doctors as much as it is about the fact that the government refuses to put enough people in charge of monitoring these things.
The auditor also flags a lack of collaboration and planning on getting Ontarians linked to primary care. While the province has boasted about clearing half of a waiting list,
Healthcare Connect is failing to meet the moment. Ontario health teams are saying it's not working. Patients are not using it.
family doctors are not using it.
Spence notes that only about 11% of those without a doctor are using the service.
Maybe if you advertised that it's available to people, it might start working.
Ontario hasn't updated its communication plan to tell doctors and patients about the program in a decade.
For generations.
This was the biggest year on record for government advertising, $112 million through the end of March. 38% of that bill covered ads the Auditor General describes as being mostly to foster a positive image of progressive conservatives.
It's important both before or after an election cycle for the public to be informed with nonpartisan government advertising. That is what we're doing. That is what we're committed to.
A rule change by the previous Liberal government allowed this kind of advertising.
That was the wrong thing to do. It makes me mad. Not as mad as I am about the way they're spending money right now.
The government's defending disorganized management of its PPE stock, something that's led to $1.4 billion worth of gloves, masks, and gowns.
Literally being thrown away. Blown up in smoke.
The auditor says some of this stuff expired or was purchased post-pandemic in long-term contracts. The gear not always fitting the needs of the people who use it.
Yeah, well, I guess I would ask a question. Would you like substandard PPE to be used with your children?
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Still ahead, the big give at Beale Secondary, a citywide challenge aiming at raising support this holiday season. Canada's main stock index was weighed down by losses in the energy and base metal sectors. The TSX fell 53 points. In New York, the Dow gained 185. The Nasdaq added 138. The Canadian dollar down 0.04 cents on commodity markets. Gold lost $54 an ounce. Oil fell 68 cents a barrel. Law enforcement officials from across Canada announced a massive drug bust today. They say they've seized thousands of kilograms of illegal drugs through a months-long investigation. Judy Trin reports.
These investigations took place on opposite ends of our province.
For months, police across Canada, in big cities and small towns, have been targeting organized crime.
We did find this group had certain photos or emblems.
Between May and October, a joint strike force of more than 100 police agencies focused on taking illegal fentanyl off the streets. Police seized 386 kilograms of fentanyl, more than 1,700 kilograms of methamphetamine, and nearly 6,000 kilograms of cocaine, along with more than $13 million in cash.
There's some big players here, and there's some smaller departments, but it's a real shining example of the feds, the provinces, and municipal agencies all working together.
A chunk of fentanyl there. This is the second time that a national effort was coordinated by the RCMP to target deadly opioids after Donald Trump accused Canada of not doing enough to stem the flow of fentanyl across the border earlier this year.
Canada's a very bad abuser.
The RCMP say more than 8,000 arrests and charges were laid involving 200 organized crime groups. Despite the record quantities of seizures, investigators say fentanyl is being trafficked for domestic use, not being exported.
The source is not each other. The source is from external countries, external regions. So fentanyl is not going certainly from Canada to the U.S.
The RCMP say China continues to be the biggest source of precursor chemicals that go into the making of illegal fentanyl. In the near future, the Mounties plan to target ports, rail yards, and airports, along with drugs that are sent through the mail. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
Good evening. Quiet overnight. Skies will be partly cloudy, but tracking some very cold air that'll be moving in Wednesday night. An Arctic cold front on the move. First thing in the morning, calm conditions, although heading out the door, a wind chill close to -12. Chance for flurries in the morning, just 30%. By 8 o'clock, -4. Thanks, Josta, for this photo of Roxy, set for ball season there. Continuing with all those dogs in costume. They came in actually on Halloween, so I want to make sure I get through most of them in the coming weeks. Stay with us. I'll have all your local weather details coming up in just a few minutes.
Welcome back on the desk with Julie Anderson now. And as we look ahead through the rest of this week, we're talking colder temperatures really. And unfortunately, sunshine like we got today isn't warming us up at all.
No, in terms of today, I think that's going to be our little diamond in the rough. We're about to see some conditions deteriorate, although you're right, it was cold still. -1, our normal daytime high at 3 degrees. But wow, was it ever nice to see the sunshine after that snow early this morning. And skies partly cloudy overnight. So it's the calm between systems. We do have some rain and snow moving up the eastern seaboard. Satellite radar tonight showing some snowfall towards northwestern Ontario, and still some flurries in the Bruce and Georgian Bay. This time of year, anytime you get cold air coming off that lake, we do pick up a little bit of off-lake precipitation. So an Arctic cold front is coming in tomorrow night, and that will be a game changer in terms of temperatures. We're going to see a big drop off. So a real taste of some wintry weather. We could even see some record overnight lows broken in the coming days. So partly cloudy tonight, -8 in the city, -5 if you're near Lake Huron or Lake Erie. Some flurries in the forecast tomorrow here on Perth, Grey and Bruce. You could see 2 to 4 centimeters of snowfall. This is in advance of the cold Arctic air. So this polar air mass that's been bottled up over Hudson Bay, a chunk of that is going to drop down over the Great Lakes and slowly shift southeastward. As it does, it will move in and drop our temperatures significantly. So really some very cold air moving in. As we take a look at the next 24-hour model, we will see some lake-enhanced precipitation develop into Thursday. But in the short term, tomorrow your forecast mainly cloudy through the day with a chance of flurries in London, about a 40% chance in the afternoon. It'll be tomorrow evening out ahead of that Arctic cold front where we will likely see a burst of snow develop. So expecting some flurries overnight Wednesday into early Thursday morning. -1, gusty winds out of the southwest through the day, 30 with gusts to 50. Check out the cold temperatures. -7 will be the high Thursday, -4 Friday, but it's really the overnight low where we'll dip down to about -16. So Thursday night into Friday morning. Everyone's going to be talking about how cold it is. I can already feel it. In terms of this air mass that's moving in, we just haven't experienced anything like this in a while. So of course, this time of year, the cold is a relative term. I had a viewer message me when I was talking about bitterly cold temperatures, and they said, this is nothing. But you know, when it's this time of year and the temperatures start to drop off that quickly, it definitely can catch people a bit by surprise. Some snow in the forecast on Saturday, 2 to 4 centimeters at -2, -3 and cloudy on Sunday, and then a mix of sun and cloud on Monday, the high -3. Overnight lows dropping off as well from -7 to a -8, so some cold air moving in. It's still cold out there tonight, but wait over the next couple of nights as that cold air mass moves in. Midwestern Ontario, same story for you, except you'll see a bit more in the way of accumulation tomorrow, 2 to 4 centimeters in the high -1. Flurries and gusty winds on a Thursday, windy conditions expected, and then some nighttime flurries on Friday. Looks like another little snow producing system moving in on Saturday, but the good news with the weekend system is temperatures are headed back up. So we'll take the forecast high to -2 and -4 on Sunday. So Arctic air moving into southern Ontario on the heels of an Arctic cold front that will arrive Wednesday night. Carlyle, back to you.
Thanks, Julie. A local doctor is part of a team researching better ways to treat patients in Gaza, where Israeli bombardment has severely hampered medical care efforts. With more on his role providing care in the face of conflict, here's Jerry Dewan.
It's called an external fixator, or X-Fix. It's a device that helps align fractured bones and can be adjusted to keep them aligned. But Dr. Tarek Lubani says delays in applying an X-Fix can lead to dire outcomes.
If you delay setting a bone, especially these complex fractures, then the end result tends to be amputation. So, and if not death.
Lubani is a London-based physician who is also medical director for GLIA, an organization that investigates ways to provide medical supplies to impoverished and war-torn locations. In Gaza, they have now begun testing X-Fixes made with 3D printers, solar power, and scavenged materials.
For several weeks, we knew that there was rubble that contained the kind of metal we needed to make the external fixator part. So it's a rod of metal connected with pieces of 3D printed plastic onto some more rods of metal.
The team from GLIA worked with Palestinian doctors to ensure the materials are safe, both structurally and medically, including testing sterility. The team recently displayed their first 3D printed X-Fix made in Gaza.
Tools are tested, adapted, and refined through direct collaboration.
Hospitals around the world are known for being places of incredible technology, but the foundational need for any hospital is a steady supply of clean water and electricity. Dr. Lubani says it's hard to find either in Gaza. A ceasefire took effect in Gaza on October 10th, but restrictions remain in place. Jen Wilson, GLIA's Director of Manufacturing and Design, recently returned to London from Gaza. She says the team remains committed to an open source model.
We're not looking to patent any of our information on the X-Fixator, and we don't profit on any of our devices.
3D printing of the plastic elements of the X-Fixator can take up to 12 hours per piece. The goal is to move to a much faster plastic extrusion model in the future, but there's a constant concern that the ceasefire will break. Lubani says a GLIA office in Gaza has already been hit by bombs in the past. Fortunately, no one died or was seriously injured, but he believes the threat remains. Jerry DeWan, CTV News.
Finally tonight, students at a London high school are challenging others across the city to give back this holiday season. With more on the friendly competition and the impact they're hoping to make, here's Rita Ismail.
We're launching a first of its kind.
HB Beale Secondary School is putting out a challenge, a call for all London area schools to join them in helping people who will go without shelter this winter. The school has signed on to the Holiday Big Gift School Challenge, an Arcade Mission initiative aimed at supporting more than 2,700 Londoners in need.
It's definitely a present issue, very close to school, and we have such a huge student population compared to many schools in the city that it's really important that we really use all of our power that we have to make a difference.
Students and staff are raising funds, collecting essential winter items, and working to provide more than 200 nightly shelter beds for individuals and families in crisis. It's all part of Beale Gives Back, a school-wide effort to build compassion, social responsibility, and community.
And I invited Sarah Campbell from Arcade to come into my social science classroom. Her speech was so impactful that my students responded and talked to me about how important these issues are to them and that how they wish that they could learn more and do more.
During the campaign, students will roll out fundraising activities, awareness videos, and creative projects aimed at sparking change.
I immediately thought of my art leadership club, which it's actually a club where we're contributing to the community through art. So I immediately thought of us doing something like creating Christmas cards for them, doing some painting maybe. So I think it's a really great initiative.
Arcade says the school that raises the most support will earn a $1,000 bursary, a custom trophy, and recognition across the city. The campaign runs until December 15th. Rita Ismail, CTV News.
And that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.